Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. Plarium wants our feedback. In today's video, we're going to actually check out the full survey that was sent out to, I heard a rumor of like 1,500 or 15,000 or something like that, level 100 players, which was about the Cursed City, right? And looking for feedback on that directly from players through a questionnaire. Not something that Plarium has, I can't remember them doing it before. They quite possibly have, I've just forgotten. Let me know. I'd be very curious. Not something that they've commonly done, certainly. And I think it's a great move to see, you know? It's certainly something that I am hopeful for after No Dime December. I did find a funny comment on a video yesterday, which was after No Dime December, like with all the events right now, they're hitting us with, what was it? Juice out January. There's a lot. It's cracking week, baby. No Dime December's over. You can spend again. But I'm certainly hopeful that, you know, developer communication is going to improve. And I think I see this as being one step along the way. I saw them directly talking to us content creators about like their game philosophy and stuff. They did like an interview with us a few weeks ago now, a couple of weeks ago at least. And I thought that was a good step as well. So there are some positive steps. I thought the Xenogray fusion was positive as well, very positive. So hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully. Also, before we dive into the survey, at your urging, you are to blame comment section. You guys were like, Nub, you're almost there. You might as well go and finish it. So I did. You talked me into it. You were like, Nub, go for the champion. Like you're halfway there. Go for it. So I have done it. I might regret this. What did it cost me? A lot of time. I think yesterday, I basically spent my entire evening grinding champion, grinding campaign, nightmare campaign. Yep, that was my evening. My girlfriend was playing Ghost of Tsushima on our PS5. I was watching her play that. I'm playing God of War 2018 at the moment, which is freaking phenomenal, by the way. So is Ghost of Tsushima. Two of the best games I've probably ever seen. So good. It cost me about 1,000 mystery shards is what I ripped through. And I think about 2,000 gems of energy. And that's actually not so bad in terms of cost. Of course, the biggest cost was to my sanity and possibly carpal tunnel from pressing replay. I will say I definitely need to set up RSL helper, like an auto-click farmer thing in the future. So as I said, I'm pretty done with champion training. I just hit the mood for it yesterday. Just ran out of nowhere. I re-geared Ethos and it was quite fun. I mean, I'll show you this briefly and then we'll jump in. I actually re-geared Ethos and he was ripping through Nightmare Campaign like nobody's business. You slapped him into some gear because I ran out of like Savage and Lethal gear and all that sort of stuff. So I put him with the Optimizer into my best other gear and he was absolutely blitzing through it, doing a great job. And we ripped through it, I think, pretty quickly, but dear Lord, it still took hours. It still took hours. And now we're in a rough spot where I don't have many Titan points. I'm hoping that mood strikes me again later today and I'm able to rip through and grab these Titan points to free us up for potentially skipping events in the future. Does mean probably going to have to pull shards tomorrow. I doubt we'll be able to skip that, but it is what it is. Anyway, let's talk about this. What I'm going to do in the background, I am going to play some Cursed City stuff that I was doing some Soul Cross hard, so you've got some context for what is going on. Also, big shout out, look at that, to whoever pointed out in the previous live stream, I think was the last time we did some Cursed City on the channel. Someone said, yeah, Nub, one of those, you know, we were talking about your Soulbound Bowyers, you know, not landing stuns very much. I think one of them doesn't have a complete stun set, and you were absolutely right. Absolutely right. So we switched her in, and now we've got two Soulbound Bowyers in a stun set. I think I actually gave her masteries for Fearsome Presence on the live stream and forgot to give Fearsome Presence. So thank you for that. That was actually pretty cool. That made a big difference. And I think it made us actually one-shot this. So let's talk about this. How would you rate the Cursed City game mode? Very bad, bad, average, good, or excellent? Oh, click the wrong thing. Sorry, let's bring this back up. How would I rate this game mode? For me, I would probably... yeah, I would rate it, I think, as good. I think definitely as good between the top two options, honestly. For me, I find this game mode, generally speaking, a lot of fun. It's a great reason, a great motivation to build a lot of champions that you otherwise might not. There's a lot of big challenges. My main criticism would probably be that it's arguably a little bit too difficult, right? Some of the stages, not many, thankfully, but some stages are very reliant on stun gear sets, which is absolutely miserable. And some of the stages are just extremely hard. Like we did that one stage where it was like you either had Grunge Killjoy, or in my take, you basically couldn't do the stage, or I don't even know how you would do it. So, you know, there are some extreme limitations. I think that is a downside. So it's more a question of accessibility and difficulty. You know, for example, I've heard Amius on normal is way too difficult. Amius on normal difficulty is much harder than he should be. So it's sort of stuff like that, I would say. Yeah, but generally, I'd say it's very good. I think it's very good. Like, there's room for improvement, but honestly, it is, on the whole, excellent. It's really, really strong. So, next one, we have, what difficulty did you play on? Normal, hard, or both? So again, I'd put good for this, but excellent, I think, is fair as well. What difficulty did you play on? For me, both I fully cleared normal. I didn't actually fully clear hard, which again is part of why I say it might have been a little bit too difficult. At the end in some of Soulcross gets really, really hard and limiting. I just didn't have the right champions for a couple of the stages, just couldn't do it. And then a few of the stages I said, oh, do I really want to re-gear all of these champions and all of this crazy gear and have to rip it off everyone else? And it's a huge time investment. And I kind of said, it's just a bit too much for me. Like re-gearing all of these epic champions in the best gear on my account, ripping off all of my like arena and hydra teams, having to put them all back together. I kind of, you know, reached a point saying, could I be arsed? But yeah, I did both difficulties. So we did both. How many Eclipse keys did you have at the end of the first rotation? I think this is a misclick. I think he meant 0. Spent them on defeating Amius the Lunar Archon. But yeah, obviously I, got the Eclipse keys and beat Amius. That's straightforward enough. Please rate your experience with progress through the Cursed City. Very hard, balanced, easy, very easy, and unsure. Now, I think this is a difficult question to answer because my response would be, let me actually pause this because we want to see the second wave. No, actually, let me not pause it. Let's keep going. We got blitz through. I'll also put up this full raw video. I'll skip ahead so you can see the teams I use for every fight. If we finish, we probably will before it ends. But I'll probably put up this full raw video for members if like you really, really want to see it for some reason. Something like that. I basically do nothing for the members. I'm the worst. So let's do something, I suppose. But don't worry, I'll show you all the teams we used for these stages. I would say like Cobble Market, the first area was very easy. I would say that then the two side areas in rotation 1, I would also have described honestly as probably easy or very easy for me. They were very easy. I'd actually describe them as very easy. Then Soulcross, I say the first half of Soulcross I would have described as hard, and the second half as very hard, or was it extreme? How hard did it get? Yeah, I would say Soulcross hard, and then the end of Soulcross very, very hard. So yeah, I think it really varies across the Cursed City. Now, rotation 2, I would have said, again, Cobble Market very easy. Then I think the two side areas were a mix, where most of it was easy, but some of it was hard. There were a few boss stages that were legitimately hard. And then, again, I would say the start of Soulcross has been somewhere between balanced and hard. There's been a lot of stages where I could just use Sifi and cheese it for the first half of Soulcross this time, as it were. And then there's like this stage, which was hard. And I think the rest of Soulcross is probably looking to be very hard again. So that's sort of my take on the difficulty there. Next up we have, so I think it's hard to answer. I would say the overall experience of progress, I don't know. That's so hard to pick one. I click unsure, honestly. Do you agree with the following statement? The Cursed City mode was challenging enough to keep you engaged. From strongly disagree up to strongly agree. I would say agree. I would also say agree on this. I definitely think it was challenging enough to keep engaged. Even the easy stages are kind of fun. Being like, ooh, okay, which exact champions are going to give me the quickest turn order? Even the easy awaken stages was like, oh, okay, what do I slap into this? To do these awaken stages the fastest with the champions that I happen to have awakened for it. Then I found like the earlier bosses are generally speaking, you know, the bosses aren't that hard, but it's like, oh, how do I deal with the mechanics with like the factions that I have assigned to this? And the champions can be really limited. Again, I thought that, like I said, a couple of the bosses, particularly this rotation, I thought were a bit too limited. Like the Grunch one was particularly bad if you didn't have some very specific legendaries. But yeah, that's what I would say for that one. I think it's been very engaging, and like the harder stages for sure are quite engaging. Again, I find it a little bit disengaging personally when it becomes super difficult, when it's like, okay, to beat this stage, right, you've got the champions, but the stage is so overpowered and the champions are so weak. Like the epic only stages in particular tend to be, it's like, oh, you don't have any really good crowd control or revivers and stuff, so it's like you need to put crazy gear on them. That for me becomes disengaging, because I go, am I arsed, really? Would you prefer Cursed City to be more challenging or less? More challenging, less challenging, no change needed. Again, so this goes back to, you know, when they released Cursed City, they told us even before it came out that there's a higher difficulty coming eventually. I wonder if that's still the case. They're sending out this survey, but that's sort of what I would. Here's the thing. What to make it specific, it's hard to say in this survey. What I would like to see happen actually would be a new harder difficulty, and to actually make the current hard difficulty actually a little bit easier. Because honestly, some of these Soul Cross stages, I genuinely don't see how you can make them harder. Or arguably, I certainly cannot see how you could make them harder and still have them be any semblance of fun. That's what I think about it. So I think that I would come in and nerf some of Soul Cross and possibly nerf some of the restrictions on some of the bosses that do seem to be very, very challenging, or some of the stages, shall we say, that seem to be very challenging in the Plague Home and Dead Rise. So that would be my approach. But I would love to see a more challenging version of Cobble Market, a bit more challenging market of Dead Rise and Plague Home, and yeah, like a full Soul Cross about as difficult as like the top difficulty of Soul Cross, something like that. I could totally see it. But yeah, again, it becomes hard to talk about because, you know, the start of Cursed City is so easy, but the end of it is so difficult. And then you've got some of these rogue stages, as it were. So yeah, would I prefer to see it to be more challenging or less? It's hard to put that nuance into a particular vote, isn't it? Like, I would say almost less challenging, but with a higher difficulty. So no change needed or unsure is probably what I guess. No change needed. Like, I like the top level of challenge, but I wouldn't want it to be more challenging than the top level. Rank the following reasons for playing Cursed City in order of their importance to you personally. 1 being most important, 5 being the least. Progression, challenge, entertainment, rewards, and discovery. Oh, so we smashed through that last wave. Let's just see the start of this next fight, and then we'll talk about that. What is most important in... so this is another Sifi Bonk. Sifi Bonk Bonk. Easy. Okay. Grand. Nothing much to see there. Progression, challenge, entertainment, rewards, and discovery. I'd say number 1 for me is probably the entertainment, like the fun value is number 1. Like, it's a game, it's an entertainment product. So that would probably be number 1, like coming in, and specifically I mean like coming in, using like a unique team of like champions I wouldn't usually use or put together. That's quite fun. I mean, like, how do I beat this boss? Oh yeah, I put these guys in, that's how I beat the boss. So entertainment, probably number 1. Let me see. Yeah, that's probably number 1. The challenge, maybe the challenge be number 2. I'll put entertainment 1. Let's put maybe discovery number 2. I'm gonna rank discovery actually really high. I think most people wouldn't. I put discovery number 2. It's a bit different for me because like I'm making videos on it oftentimes. So that's very different. Like, a lot of you won't. Like, for a big chunk of people, like, you're going to go in and just watch a guide, right? There's not as much discovery. Whereas for me, I'm trying to do videos on stuff before I've watched anyone else do it. So there's an element of discovery, which is important for me. So that's quite a bias thing. So I personally put discovery number 2. I think most people want to entertainment, then discovery. I'd say number 3, probably challenge. You know, if it's too easy, it's not fun. But that being said, I'm not looking for something super duper difficult. Rewards, probably number 4. And for me, progression, probably number 5. I'm not super interested in progression, honestly. It's more like, yeah, the way I see it is like, you know, because I'm a fairly end game account as well. So there's not all that much progression. And like, what is progression in Curse City for me is more like wait to pull a champion. Like that's not particularly entertaining for me. What is entertaining is like, how do I solve this puzzle right now? Right. I have, let's say, when I have the champions that are needed to beat it, when I've got the gear that's needed to beat it, it's like how, and more so the champions is much more fun for me than the gear. Like limited gear changing is okay, but I don't love loads of gear changing at all. It's like, how do I put these pieces together to beat this puzzle? That's what's interesting. I don't find the progression interesting of like, yeah, again, like I said, I could not finish Curse City last time. I got stuck on, I don't know, S14 or 19 or something. I can't remember what it was. I got stuck on some stage and I looked at it and it was like, basically everyone that beat the stage had, can't remember her name. They had the high elf. They had Shirmani. 1 or 2 Shirmani. And I said, oh, I don't have Shirmani. I guess I just can't do the stage, right? That's progression. That to me, not entertaining. This boss actually took me a while to figure it out. So we'll see some variations of this one. So that's what's going on there. So that's how I'd rank them. Let me know how you would, because I think that's quite different. Did you upgrade previously unused champions to play the Cursed City mode? There is one question that was out of order here as well. I don't think we've got to it yet. Did you upgrade previously unused champions to play Cursed City? Yes, a good number of them. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, either leveling up brand new champions, skilling up brand new champions, gearing up brand new champions. Lots and lots and lots. No question there. Would you suggest we make the Cursed City more challenging? I like this answer. You don't need to make it more challenging. Again, I've already touched on this, but for me, broadly speaking, yeah, like I said, I'd like a higher difficulty. I actually think that, let's say just with hard, which is the one I have the most experience with, I think with hard Cursed City, the difficulty range is too broad. You've got stuff that's super easy, but also stuff that's super hard. I would not like to see the easier stuff made harder. I think that's a terrible idea. I would like to see the hard stuff made more accessible, made easier, and then put a harder difficulty beyond that. I think that's fine. And in fact, the harder difficulty would more, like if this is current hard, wait, hang on. Which side are my hands on? Let's get this right. This is current hard. Yeah, like this. Current hard, I would shrink the difficulty down a bit. And then I put a new difficulty, like something like this. So sort of half overlapping and maybe going a bit harder. But yeah, like making some of the earlier bosses and double bosses more challenging on a hard mode would be fun. But like, again, like I said before, I find it hard to see how you make the end of Soul Cross more difficult. Number one, I see like some of the stages are so restrictive. Like if you put in more restrictions, like it might be almost impossible. Or again, you're just relying on 5 champions in stun set and pray, and that's just shit content, in my opinion. It just sucks. So that's sort of my vibe on that. Wait, I think this was the next question, if I got it right. No, we missed one. Hey, we'll go back to it. What difficulties did you face while progressing through Cursed City? Haven't faced any, didn't have the resources to develop additional champions, didn't have enough awakened champions, didn't have enough champions, didn't have enough high-level gear. So for me, 2 difficulties. Number 1 for me would probably be didn't have enough champions, so missing some specific champions for some specific stages. And number 2 would be, again, we've touched on it, re-gearing. You can see here, I upgraded Scion for this. I thought, hey, Scion, we looked at it, Scion was the only block healing, or yeah, reduced healing champion we had for this stage with the Nether Spider. So I said, we'll bring in Scion. He's got really cool animations. We'll see that in a second. Did not use him, though. Tried it once. I only got him to level 50 and stopped. I'd say resources to level up champions. The main one, or the main 2 resources. Number 1, silver. Something of an issue for sure, but also time and effort. I will be honest, were the resources for me that are a bit lacking. I'll be honest here. Again, coming into some of those later stages, like the one, like stage 19, right? Stage 9, which is the crazy. We're just gearing up Scion. It's nothing too interesting. This is the crazy one. So last rotation, I didn't even get to it, right? But I could have gotten to it. Stage 19, which is like all epics against this crazy wave. And it's like, you know, just re-gear everyone in your best gear possible. re-gear them in like insane stun gear and just pray for good luck. That to me is not interest. So like the time investment, the re-gearing investment, having to keep track of all the champions I've stripped gear off, putting it all back on after, the silver cost of that stuff would have been a big impediment. And also the most important resource, which is the ability to enjoy the content, for me at that point starts to fall away. And you go, this is just obnoxiously hard in a way that's not fun or fulfilling. It's just smash, smash, smash with gear. Don't enjoy that. So that's sort of my take on that. I'd say the main one, didn't have enough champions. Number two, not enough resources. Over here, look at the options below. Pick the things you'd want to see added to the Cursed City mode in future. Extra challenge with additional rewards. Boss placement changes every rotation. The difficulty adjusted to the region placed. More complex room limitations. Affinity, role, rarity, etc. Add a new boss. Add a new difficulty. None of the above. I don't know. Wow. There's a lot of options here, huh? For me, new boss. Would love to see it. New difficulty. 100%. More complex room limitations, no way. Zero interest. Extra challenge with additional reward. I'd be okay with that. That's a bit vague. What does that even mean? Let's check out Scion's animations. He actually looks really cool for a terrible champion. What does that even mean? Like, I think it could be kind of interesting to have actual quests and challenges and achievements just in the game in general. That would be fun. So maybe something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe something like that. But it's hard to know what that means, so maybe even leave that one unticked or maybe tick it. Not sure. Hang on, let me pause. I don't want to miss these sweet animations. Boss placement changes. You know, I'd be okay with that. I think that'd be quite fun. But to be honest, I found between the two rotations, actually, it stayed quite fresh, in my opinion. Because you're going in with totally new champions, it's actually okay. So I'm kind of mixed on this. You know, I'm kind of mixed. I'm 50-50. You know, I'm okay with the bosses change. I'm also sort of okay if they don't change, because you kind of know what's coming a bit. And then it's kind of like, oh, how do I beat this challenge with this new selection of champions? That's kind of fun. So yeah, that's an interesting one. And then the final question was, thank you for taking time. If you have additional feedback, put in. But yeah, what do you think about that, guys? I thought it was pretty cool. Honestly, pretty cool that they're looking for feedback, trying to gather it up. I thought that was quite awesome. Here you go. Let's see Scion. Here he is. That's pretty sick, right? It's a pretty sick little animation. He put on heal reduction. This absolutely didn't work. We got through it. We got all absolutely slammed and we all died. And there we go. Gave up. Went in again, this time with Archmage Helmet. And the idea here is, okay, we'll just stun the ads and take him down. And again, we went through. We got them pretty low. And then Archmage did a stun, stunned one spider, missed the stun on 3, and the boss fully healed. So again, we abandoned and said, okay, this time we'll just kill the spiderlings. So this time I brought in Rhonda and a Kymar, just strip off the counterattack, nuke them down, just blow up everything with Rhonda, and that's what worked. So a much simpler strategy is what worked in the end. Just kill them all with damage. Trying to be too clever, bringing in the Scion and the heal reduction. So just kill him. Just kill them with Rhonda. That's what we'll do. We did try this green affinity room and got kind of stuck. Basically, you can see, went in, and this is one of the rooms which I think is really difficult. Went in and was like, oh, my Gnarlhorn, he's geared for for Phantom Shogun. 5 resists, right? Uh-oh. So I'm gonna have to re-gear a new Gnarlhorn. I think I can probably do it with a new Gnarlhorn. I could probably do it with 2 Gnarlhorns. Can I be arsed? I'm not sure. But I've got like a stun set on Grush. You know, you could put more stun sets. This room for me, it's like I might do it, but yeah, we'll try. I like gear up a new Gnarlhorn and then give it a go. And if it's doable, sure. But like this could be quite annoying, right? Like they've got a full cleanse with a massive heal. Like if you miss stun or if you miss crowd control on him for one single turn, you're basically gonna wipe. So that could be quite frustrating. So I have to figure out if that's worth doing. But I abandoned it there anyway. I said, yeah, no, never mind. Not going to re-gear my Gnarlhorn. I mean, I could, but I'm not gonna, because I have to put all his gear back on for Phantom Shogun. That's tedious. And then we smash through like stage 25. That's no problem whatsoever. And that was all the stuff. So there you go. Yeah, let me know. What do you think about this survey? What do you think about the Cursed City? I think we said it all there. Yeah, I think it's interesting that they're gathering feedback. I've given lots of feedback before. Again, I would like to see the quests. The quests are quite dull. I'd love to see them be a bit better. Like, it is quite punishing, you know, getting to the end of Soul Cross, like over to the final stages, gates over half of the things, which is a little bit absurd. Like, we've come in, we've cleared 90% of the stages, but we've got only less than half of the candles. That's a little silly. Not a huge deal, but it's a little silly. And yeah, like I said, some of the stages are just, you know, a bit, some say, I feel like I said, in terms of challenge, some of these stages are really hard. And I've mentioned it, I think like this one over here, this was really, really hard. I think there are legendaries you could have, but it's to, oh yeah, or like this guy. I didn't have this guy. That's right. He would have made a massive difference. Massive difference. Because every time a spider hits him, he'd counterattack and remove the poison. But I didn't have him. So anyway, look, there you go. That's sort of my take on the Cursed City. On the whole, I think it's a great piece of content. I'm very curious how this survey is going to go and what changes they would implement. Again, my perfect world, they actually nerf the hard parts of hard a little bit, make hard more accessible. Definitely nerf Amius on normal. That's a big complaint I've heard a lot. And yeah, add like a brutal or a nightmare difficulty where the challenge is not as broad, where they shrink the challenge down, in particular bring the earlier areas up in challenge, so you've got like a full 100 stages of actually quite big challenge. That could be interesting. And like I said, for me, intensive, like very, very gear dependent stuff, not interesting. Stun sets in particular, provoke sets, not interesting in the slightest. For me, it's more about the champions and, you know, collecting the champions. It's more like a reward for collecting the champions and then solving the puzzle of the stage. I don't know. That's sort of how I feel about it. I like solving the puzzle of the stage by building the right team. But like, I don't want to have to put crazy specific gear and crazy powerful gear on underpowered champions per stage. That's not fun. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.